Everything in the universe is made of energy, and your body is part of this energy network. Each one of you has a vibrational signature or a ping that broadcasts across the universe. This has been verified at multiple levels in science. Your energy signature is completely unique to you, and it's comprised of three things: your body's energy, your spiritual energy, and your emotional energy. And when these energies flow together, they emit a frequency, meaning they make a sound, which only the universe can hear, and a vibration that others can sense and feel. Many of us call these vibes. So positive energy vibes very high, and negative energy vibes very low. So the faster your ping is, the higher your frequency is, and the better your life feels. Now, when you came into this world, your ping was perfect. You had the optimal settings for joy, for love, for connection, but your cultures have conditioned you for fear, for worry, and for limitation. And many of you have lost the ability to sense and feel your natural state of being. That was the case for me. This inner conflict has resulted for many of us as a disbelief in our nobility and our worthiness as human beings. And we forget who and what we really are. And in this forgetting, we have had a dismal effect of the joy being drained out of our lives. We've lost the awareness that our bodies are pulsing with spiritualized energy. We're encoded with every vibrational formula to produce any desired result in this life. This awareness has been neutralized, and this has put a lot of us to sleep. Many of us are in an emotional hibernation, some in a light nap, and others in a full coma. So until you shake yourself awake, until you find yourself alive with knowledge flowing through you and wisdom bubbling to the surface, you can be stumbling through life in a fog, not really feeling connected to anything. Both the physical and spiritual body require similar things. They both need the proper energy flow and daily nourishment to keep their circuits working properly. And without it, they have no mechanisms for resisting negative energy that's vibrating within your body or floating around in the universe. Now, when you're in flow, high frequency energy travels from your spiritual atmosphere through your body into the earth and back again all day. You are in a transference process of inspiration and wisdom, which is being fed into your being on multiple levels. Your cells, your minds, your bodies, and your physical atmosphere is being affected instantaneously and simultaneously by this divine flow. And the outcome is natural feelings of joy, of safety, of love, and connection. And you just have a zest for life in most of its forms. Now, when your flow is obstructed by negative energy or fear, you lose your natural mechanisms for shifting into higher energies. Your natural flow has to crisscross around your blockages, and this keeps you off balance and out of sync. Each blockage lowers your frequency, and your natural anchor to your spiritual energy gets repositioned for anchors to fear energy. And this keeps you confined to your mental illusions and stuck in a life you don't want. These blockages create great imbalances, and the outcomes are usually lack and illness. So your first step is to bring in the natural flow back into your body with a daily flow of positive energy. You can get this in several ways: spiritually, physically, or emotionally, but the first will always be through a stream of spiritual energy regenerating your body. Divine light carries every vibrational frequency for perfect balance, and through inviting it, your body and mind become instantly calm. So each pulse of light produces a field that energizes your body and pulls you into your natural alignment. Now, each positive energy fractal absorbed into your cell liberates a lower frequency from pain and moves it to a higher level. So this energy flow produces a natural state of euphoria, and it's how you create a process for fear management and ongoing spiritualized flow. Once you're here, your daily maintenance and support process is going to be required. There are natural feel-good drugs in our body flowing at all times, and we have access to those chemicals based on how we choose to interact with our life. If we are engaged in things we love, if we are inspired and positive, if we are seeking ways to be of service to others, to feel connected to a higher purpose, or just a connection to ourselves and the earth, our body produces this incredible fountain of spiritual joy drugs. And they are in abundance. And they are intended to be the dominating flow in our bodies. We come aligned with these natural chemicals for joy. And they are called serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins, and dopamine. And in the proper doses, they are highly effective in keeping our thoughts clean and fresh, keeping our bodies functioning at optimal capacity, and helping us to navigate our spiritual process. And there's many ways you can convert your environment into these wonderful feel-good chemicals. Since your body is a natural pharmacy, the more thoughts and feelings and food that you have with high frequencies, they produce chemical reactions depending on your intake. So what you ingest the most determines the frequencies your body has the power to produce. So positive emotions, positive thoughts, positive people, environments, and nutrient-rich foods have the highest conversion ratios, and they produce the most powerful chemicals to enhance your physical and mental wellness and just give you an overall state of well-being. So these feel-good chemicals are flowing naturally. And when they are, you have an exceptional ability to navigate life. You feel connected to yourself, to others. You feel part of a purposeful life. And you just become vibrational engines for really great stuff. And at this level, you begin to trust in and rely on your invisible support system. Higher frequency becomes your natural state of being, and the spaciousness within you emerges, as Eckhart Tolle describes it. When you have the proper energy flow, a spaciousness appears where you can access mystical experiences. Now, for many, this space is not accessible because they have competing fear energies that are vying for this same space within yourself. So many attempt to pray and meditate, but they can't feel the connection or seem to quiet their minds because the chemicals needed to keep them calm are being shooed away by fear. And it's fear of letting go of control, fear of feeling good and not being able to worry, fear of failure, fear of not being worthy, fear of not being good enough, and a host of other limitations we place on ourselves. So each time we bring in this fresh light flow, we are liberating these fear cells from this chemical slavery. Each prayer, each meditation session, each act of love towards ourselves and others creates a force field that starts to melt our fear process, and our body starts pulling itself back into alignment. These chemicals, these feel-good, incredible chemicals, produce and activate love. They activate forgiveness, compassion, mercy, kindness, and a host of other divine attributes, and this shifts your life into high gear. Now let's talk about the flip side. If we're not flowing with the proper doses of these feel-good drugs in our body, we will start looking for them in other places. And many times when we start to feel that feel-good going down, our first impulse is to start worrying, convincing ourselves that this will make us feel better. And we kind of come an insurance broker for God. We think if we just sift through all the worst case scenarios that we are being productive And in case God's too busy or doesn't get around to us in time for us to feel relief, we'll have a backup plan. And oftentimes this begins the process of depleting our systems of its natural nourishers. So from here, you're activating your worry chemicals, which are called adrenaline and cortisol. I'm about to explain in detail how those work. But basically, this is our attempt to manufacture and fabricate natural feel-good drugs externally. This is where distraction and shutdown, procrastination, and addiction start showing up. We lose our coping skills. We can find ourselves lost in a lot of unimportant things, looking for that little moment of feel-good. Binging on Netflix or eating crunchy, salty, sweet, and savory stuff. Don't worry, I've done all of it. Or jumping into funky relationships, hoping to feel that rush, or just having an outburst of rage when our body can't pretend we're happy anymore. So all these are symptoms that your ego is trying to draw feelings of power from external things. This is where we lose sight of our value system and we get sucked into the hamster wheel of societal conditioning. This is where it happens. This is where the train derails and we start getting caught up in what we have, what we do, how we look, what we're supposed to be, how much we know, how much we have, who we know. It's just the never-ending hamster wheel of more of things that don't matter. So in many cases, we'll drug ourselves with mind-numbing substances or with synthetic chemicals looking for some euphoria. And many times we lose big chunks of our lives in what I call the abyss of shadows. So as you start your assessment process, you need to become familiar with the effects of how these stress chemicals affect you physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So let's start with adrenaline. This is known as the fight or flight chemical, and it's produced naturally in times of danger or intense moments of fear or high levels of stress. And it's intended to intensify your strength and to give you the ability to focus in moments of uncertainty. And in the proper doses, it's a phenomenal drug. It gives people superhuman strength when they need to fight for their lives or the lives of another person, and it pumps you up when you need a push to get through something challenging. However, if you're producing this chemical on a daily basis in high doses, it becomes an interference with your natural flow. What happens is when we associate life-threatening fear to everyday situations, we become addicted to this enhanced feeling of power, this synthetic feeling of power. When we associate simple things like being stuck in traffic, challenges in our relationships, work or business issues, financial stress, health issues, and a million other daily things, if we associate this with an over-exaggerated threat to our sense of safety and our well-being, our system is bombarded with a stream of these overreactive chemicals, and this starts to distort our perceptions. We're not seeing life in its true form. So these excessive doses reduce your ability to choose your emotional responses. It puts you on autopilot, and you are just living in a trigger amplified emotional state, and you never know what's going to set you off. And what's happening is that your body is producing glucose, which is sugar. And when it does, it's doing this to increase your energy and get you pumped up. But to do this, it needs to redistribute all your blood flow into your muscles. This is where that superhuman thing comes into play. But this alters your body's metabolism. And it's not intended to be present in your body in saturating doses. And so for many of us, it is. And there's a lot of people walking around unaware that they are a ticking time bomb, that they are about to find themselves with heart problems, that they're about to have kidney failure, that they're going to spar on some type of diabetes or a million other things that are related to your immune system. So this is not a chicken or the egg scenario. Adrenaline doesn't show up unless you freak out. And the two things that keep us freaking out are usually suppressing our fears and blocked energy centers. So until you learn to clear them on a daily intake and release process, your body in some ways is preparing for a car accident all day long. It's tense and it's waiting for impact. And usually it's waiting for impact of the worst all day. It's got its armor on. It just knows that other shoe is going to drop. And of course, this hijacks your muscles. This hijacks your energy. This hijacks all your thought processes. And the cycle just repeats itself. So this daily intake of let's get ready for battle is a very dangerous state of being to your body, your mind, and to your soul. The next chemical that shows up when you have over-exaggerated responses to your daily experiences is called cortisol. And this is known as the stress hormone. This is also naturally produced in the body, and it regulates a wide range of processes throughout. It includes your metabolism, your immune system, and your ability to respond to stress. And again, in its natural state, its function is powerful. It acts as a mediator between overstimulating chemicals and your natural balance. And in the proper doses, this is a beautiful function. It's the body's way of protecting itself. If you were a car, it's like pushing on the brakes if it feels that you're speeding down a hill out of control. However, in excessive doses, you get the opposite result. It becomes a numbing device because it slows your metabolism down to the point where your body can't react. It's redirecting your blood flow again, and you are pumping things through your thyroid. And of course, this is directly connected to your adrenals, which produces adrenaline. So this chemical cocktail will wreak havoc on your body. Cortisol really affects your body's ability to manage weight gain and loss, and your thinking becomes foggy. You get forgetful. It's hard to make decisions because you're not clear. It's kind of like a balloon leaking air all day. Excessive doses of cortisol make you lethargic. And so anytime you're redirecting blood flow, you're always dancing around health issues. It's going to show up in many different ways. High blood pressure, possibly your blood sugar levels, your thyroid's going to be overstressed, and it's going to affect your energy flow. And this dysfunction starts showing up in depression, in fatigue, insomnia, migraines, vision problems, acid reflux because you're not processing your emotions and your coping skills are diminished because your energy flow is off, and you get irritable, and sometimes it shows up as really painful arthritis throughout your body. So remember, your body's energy, and however you're processing life, especially if it's negative, that energy is going into your body. So unless you have a daily release and intake program, this train wreck of chemicals is just floating around in your system, and your life force energy is getting affected, and your sex drive is getting affected. And it's very important to be having an active sex life when you're talking about life force energy. This is your creative center. Now, obviously, if you're in a relationship and your partner can't perform, then hopefully you're redirecting this feeling of intimacy and life force in other ways. But if you're in a marriage where you're not having sex and you have the ability, you need to really look at this as a function of too much cortisol in your system. You should be craving it, and you should be sharing this energy throughout your body. So without a daily process, your body can't settle. It can't heal, and it can't recover from the daily bombardments that you're bringing in. And eventually you get sick, you stay in the reoccurring patterns of struggle, and your body is like a balloon. It's up and down energetically, and also it just has problem with maintaining a proper healthy weight. And so we need to teach you how to manage these chemicals so that you can start managing the results you're getting in your life. So here's where the rubber meets the road for many of my clients. they start to get feelings in their body that they're not flowing. Their first response is to go to the doctor, and the doctor puts them on a regimen of pills and chemicals that add more toxicity to the cocktail that's already in their bodies. So if you are inclined to look for a quick fix, just know you're going to prolong your misery before you realize this isn't working and I need to do something different. I need to do something natural. I need to ask my body what it needs. So I'm asking you to step into this and use your spirit as a guide for how it naturally wants to shift your body, for its natural processes which came inborn with your navigation system for being human and spiritual. Allow your higher self to guide you through this daily approach and use your medical pop and pill scenario as a last resort. Every culture, from as far back as there's written history, has had some form of music, chanting, dancing, singing, laughing, or sacred ceremony. Now, in many cases, we've got it right, and we're doing it for the right reasons. In many cases, we got it wrong. We're dancing just as we drop people into a hot volcano. But for the most part, the cultural aspects of these forms of our natural clearing devices have existed throughout history, which tells you that our bodies crave it. It keeps showing up time and time again, and that we are not meant to be without these aspects in our lives. So music, chanting, dancing, singing, laughing, and some type of sacred ceremony are natural shifters, connectors, balancers, grounders, and uplifters. So if these things are not existing in your life, you're going to find very quickly that you've got blockages in your energy centers. So let's walk through about what happens when you have blockages. So our work in this module is to reveal your blockages and see if your systems are working properly. Because without the proper flow, fear has an ongoing springboard for taking over. Poor flow is the fog that allows fear to keep you shrinking your life to the size of a sugar cube when you actually have access to a universal process. So the inner announcement that your body and soul are out of sync are aspects of your life that seem to be stuck in recurring patterns or controlled by invisible triggers of fear. So let's walk through these energy centers and see where your starting point for flow might be.